cabin fever going on. How about you?
About the same. I changed my scenery a little bit, so I'm in my room for these calls for these videos instead of at my dining room table where I have my remote set up. So Laura, people all the time will tell me, you and your friend Laura, and they have no idea that you're my business consultant. They obviously don't read the posts, but a friend of ours, colleague of mine who is with Halo promotional product company, started doing these videos and invited me to jump on board with her a couple days ago and said, I'd love to get to know your friends. And I thought, what a great way, if you're a networker or if you're someone who does a lot of one-on-ones, to stay connected and to continue to do that, right? So I thought I'd do some one-on-ones with some people that I don't know yet or that I don't know well yet, and then I would share some of my closest people, and you're definitely one of those. We've not known each other very long, but our bond is very tight and very solid. So I want to introduce my friend Laura and my business consultant. So you have cabin fever. You've been in the house for how many days?
I would say it's over a month now.
It feels like it, doesn't it?
It feels like about 6 months, but I think it's been about a month.
And your daughter is kind of Lysol crazy. Won't let you out of the house like at all.
I'm definitely a prisoner in my own home. So every time I have an excuse to try to go to the store or go for something, she picks it up on the way home. So she's very, very concerned about me leaving the house. So
yeah, every single time I post something about this, because my twin sister is the same, and she will post something like, "Mom, look."
Yeah, I think it's a way of saying I love you without actually saying it. So,
Yeah, heck yeah.
She cares.
Right. So have you purchased a mask yet? Like, do you have a mask?
No.
Does she have to let you leave the house?
Yeah, what's the point? I don't even need one.
I'll have to get you guys some.
Yeah, no, I have been walking the dogs, so I do get around the neighborhood, but
Okay.
that's about it. I've been, I'm trying to flatten the curve, and believe it or not, I have so much work to do. I just thought I'd be sitting around with nothing to do, but as it turns out, I have plenty of things to keep me busy, especially with my franchisees.
Laura, explain your role. What is your role for a franchisee like me?
My role with a franchisee with you is to help you increase sales while maintaining a certain level of profitability.
Mm-hmm.
So we want our franchisees to continue to grow, but we also want them to be profitable. So my role is to help you in whatever way that you may need it. So typically I do a financial review, and that's basically a report card that indicates where you are in different sections of your business. So cost of goods or materials, labor, overhead and fixed, and then the result is usually whatever's left over is profit. So by analyzing that, I get a good idea of where we need to focus on, depending on how they compare to what we consider our key performance indicators. So usually by doing financial reviews pretty regularly, you can, or I can, look at that and say, okay, if our cost of goods is high, there are certain things that we can do to improve that. And then we focus and work on those. But ultimately, the job is to help franchisees in whatever capacity they need help, whether that's sales and marketing, whether that's operations or pricing or their POS system. Usually, it stems from their financial review, but ultimately it's what they think that they need help with.
Right. So when we purchased our center, we're going into 3 years. So we just went into our third year. We had a different field rep that had been with us for a long time, since Rod owns another center. And then you were a new business consultant. And when I want to say, so we opened August 1st. And I am I right? You were our field rep, or you were our business consultant come November?
Yes, probably. Yeah, around November, because Mary retired, the previous consultant did retire. And at that point, she was having me visit centers with her. So it's probably the first time that I was in your center. I officially took over January 1.
But it's not where we first met.
No, it's not.
Where did we meet?
We met at the airport coming back from a outside sales summit. And yeah, I believe it was fate because I think we're soul sisters.
We
Um,
really are.
so I can remember being in the airport and somebody was talking about Corbridge or something. And I don't know how we engaged in conversation, but it was just, for me, it was just an instant connection.
I want to say you had like your laptop open and you're like, well, I've got Corbridge. Do you want to? And we were just making a decision about whether or not we were going to go remote. And so when I say remote, our sales art platform was going to a server base where before it used to be on our computers and what have you. That was right when we purchased the center, and our other center had not converted yet to.
That's right.
And I remember we were talking about, like, does it make sense to do it? We just purchased the center. We're going to change things anyways. Low volume center when we purchased it. So it kind of made sense to do that. And you have no idea how grateful I am for that meet for a lot of reasons, right? But today, when we stand where we're standing today, the ability to go remote for our center was so easy. I mean, I know we've called and we've talked about some things that we can do to make it better and tailor it to us and our needs, but really the transition was easy. It's easy to say, hey, I'm going to have a couple of people in the office, everybody else can work remote, and we didn't have to skip a beat. We just need to get the laptops or the computer set up. In my case, I brought my entire PC home because
well, and you know what, and starting on the new center team, the Corbridge is just a fantastic system, and I think everybody who knows me knows that I'm a big proponent of it, and I'm always trying to help my franchisees enhance it, make it better, and make the transition as easy as possible. But I've been talking about remote employees probably for the last 2 or 3 years. Just because we have all the technology available to us to not only, with the G Suite and with Corbridge, and I think we have an untapped market of people that we can be, especially when the job market was really tight, that we could have probably tapped into to do some of the things that we're seeing people do now remotely, that, even before all this, that may have had children or may have had some reason that they couldn't leave their homes, that have the skill that we need for customer service, for doing estimates, for answering phones. So I'm hoping that as a result of this, more people will start to consider remote or the untapped market of employees or people that we can have working in our business, but not necessarily physically in the business. And when we return, we're going to still have to have some social distancing. So I don't think people should be so ready for everybody to hop back into the center on the larger centers. Now, obviously, the smaller ones or the ones that have frontline employees, you want at least that first customer service person in the center for walk-in customers and for those things. But the larger centers, as a second string, they should continue to think of remote employees to, with the VoIP on the phones now, they can get a lot of estimates done. They can do a lot of follow-up. So I'm hoping, because of this, the technology that we have as FASTSIGNS, that we can continue to operate remotely in addition to when we start reopening our centers.
Yeah. So, one of the questions that I get a lot, obviously I've been in the FASTSIGNS system since 2005. I left for a little bit and then I came back for 2 years. So I've been in for a long time, all at one center with Rod and then here together. But a lot of times people will look at me and be like, you're crazy. Why would you franchise? Like, why? Go open a sign company. Like, why wouldn't you just do it on your own? And, I really try and explain to them the value that I believe we have as a network. which I've got a lot of friends in the industry that are part of other franchises that are not Fast Signs, other franchises that are not in our industry, and they definitely don't provide the same support that Fast Signs does. From working in the system, what would you say? Like, don't rate Fast Signs, but rate it a 10.
Of course.
But I would say, working with you in particular, and we've seen a lot of field reps along the way, a lot of business consultants that were very good business consultants, but then someone like you comes into our center who's vested, who is really kind of a partner in our business. I was doing an activity with Rod with a program that we're working on. We were rating like our top employees, right? And Laura was one of those people, because I look at you as a partner in the business. And when I talk to other franchisees, they look at their business consultant like a partner in their business, because you really know the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? Not just the financial part of it. I know that there's been plenty of times where you've given me a call, and I joke about, the first couple of years sleeping under my desk and crying. That's a true statement, right?
Yeah.
Times where I called my business consultant, Laura, and we talked about issues and we talked about challenges, and you linked me to another franchise or to somebody else at corporate that was able to help me navigate. So for me, Fast Signs is a 10, 10 plus, 8 plus organization, but you've had the privilege of working with other franchises. What do you think stands out to you from a Fast Signs perspective?
Well, I think we realize we're in the people business, and I think that our company does a really good job at attracting the right talent. And although all of us field consultants and all the people at our corporate office are all so different, together it works. And I think the common element is we all have a passion for this. We either come from the print business or the sign business or a similar business. And I think the common denominator is not that we're sign people, we're people. Like,
right.
We really care, we have the passion, and we really, and this comes from the top down, is that our number one goal is for all of us to succeed together. So everything that we do and every program that we roll out is with the intention that, hey, we're all in this together and we all want to succeed. So we're not afraid to have those personal relationships like I have with you. I think a lot of this is, although it's business, we're still dealing with human beings and their thoughts and their feelings and how things impact them. So I think the reason that Fast Signs is successful for all the great things that we do, because we have a great team of people, but I think it's basically because our number one goal is franchisee satisfaction. So, that's pretty much it. I love working for Fast Signs. I'm going into my 8th year. So I can't say enough good things about them, or I still, would be working here. But I think our common denominator is definitely we have a passion for success, and we have a passion for our franchisees. We really do care. Like, I really do care about all my franchisees in the state of Florida.
Oh yeah, and it's so apparent, and from a franchisee's perspective, now obviously. A lot of times people will say, well, you're so lucky because you and your business consultant live close to each other. You guys have a great relationship, and we really do. I mean, when you said that we're soul sisters, I definitely believe we're soul sisters. And we have such a wonderful friendship outside of the business world, but we are like-minded. We talk about a lot of the same things. Like people often see us by the pool. Right? That's where they see our pictures and whatever, and they're like, you guys just play. But I mean, I remember working on my first business plan. You came in on a Friday and working on the business plan. You were staying at a hotel here, and there was so much more for us to do. And we literally sat by the pool all weekend, worked on the business plan, the budget, and so many different elements of the business. And I tell people all the time, I'm like, listen, we get work done. Like, we get it done.
We do.
Quizzed me by the pool about my business plan and budget until I knew it all. And I was like, I got it now.
Right? I think it really makes sense, because you can put numbers on paper, right? And that's what we did when we
Mhm.
first started. And the thing I like about you is that when we talk about things and we talk about launching and implementing, you actually do it. And I think that's what sets you apart. And that's probably why we're really good friends as well, is because we're action people, right?
Yeah.
But I can remember, when we put numbers on paper, it's just numbers on paper. So the idea behind us having our conversations is, okay, what do those numbers mean and how can I apply them in my business? Okay, yeah, this is a cost of goods number, but what do I do with it? All right, this is my labor number, but how do I accomplish that? How do I hire the right people? What's the expectation? So I think by us having our little fun time, right, we can talk through the numbers, and instead of putting numbers on paper, we can actually in real life say, okay, Carmen, what does this mean? And I think us going back and forth and me quizzing you and testing you, but it also gives me an idea of what you're thinking as, not only a new owner, but just as an owner in general, because I could tell you or recommend all the things in the world, but if I don't really have a good understanding of what your needs are or what you're thinking or your biggest fears are, then it's really pointless. So I think, us having a good relationship and doing these things by the pool really does, solidify the relationship, both, business wise plus personally.
Oh yeah, I have to. I go back home all the time, and my family and I are very close. And my mom's always like, I can't wait to meet Laura. She's like, I because she hears so many things about you, and I tell people all the time. And I think I just connected you with one of my favorite franchisees recently, and I literally had you both on Zoom, and I was like, I just want to tell you, both of you are some of my favorite people, but Laura, like, you breathe life into me. And
Oh, thank you.
I'm my circle. I'm the girl with a million friends, but my circle is really tight. And and I just tell people all the time, I'm like, I've never been around someone who's so positive. I've never been around someone who looks at the problem and like walks you through the solution. I've never been around someone that holds you accountable like the way that you do in the nicest and most professional way. That's not really what I expected from a business consultant. I really expected someone on the surface. Now, you're my first business consultant as an owner, so I don't know what all those relationships look like for other people, but I know for me, um, being an hour and some away from my business partner, he's running another store. To have a business consultant that's so invested and that says, hey, I noticed last time we were here, we were going to talk about this and this, and you were going to do this and this, but we haven't talked about this and you haven't done this. Now I know before Laura comes, all my action stuff needs to be checked off. But I appreciate that because you hold me accountable. And to that note, it's rare to find another woman in business that will do that in a nice way. A lot of the times it's hard to be around other women in business because they don't lift you up. And our franchise is very different. Our
Right.
network is very different. We have a woman CEO. We have a lot of women in a very male dominated industry. And we've got obviously a leader like you in a male dominated industry. So what can you say to that?
I think it's a very good thing. I think, realizing that men and women are different. I mean, my whole life, I come from the print world, for the last 40 years. I've always been in a male dominant environment. And I always tried to be just like men. Like, I always thought that that was the answer. And really, the answer is that if you're a woman, be a woman and manage like a woman. And if you want to cry, then cry. And if you want to punch a wall, punch a wall. But the bottom line is we are different, and we express ourselves differently. And we have different strengths. So I think if you're a woman in business, be a woman in business. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think, for too long, we've tried to be like men, and we just aren't. So
And that's okay.
that's okay.
It's perfectly okay. Yeah, it's perfectly okay to wear 6-inch heels in a sign company, in a sign industry, correct?
I totally agree. I wish I could still.
I get so much flack about that. I get customers that come in and they're like, do you wear those things every day? I'm like, yes, I do.
And you know what? And you can, so I think that's the takeaway. I think as we see more women in business, it's more acceptable to, maybe that's just human to human. It's more acceptable to just be yourself. I
Oh,
think
yes.
the when you're in business, you connect with people. It's a people business, like I said before. So if you're trying to be something different, I think that comes across too. So like with you, Carmen, you're so genuine, and you connect well with people, and that's why your customers buy from you, and that's why you have such good relationships. And I think more people just need to be themselves in business.
Yeah, I do agree with you on that. So you've gotten to travel quite a bit. Right now you're in Florida.
Yeah.
You're not close to me anymore. You moved. I'm slightly disappointed, but just so Rachel knows, I'm going to keep you for the end of quarantine. If she's on here watching, I'm going to steal your mother for a couple of weeks.
I'll leave her a note on the door.
We're having withdrawals for sure. But as a new business consultant, she's laughing at us, by the way. She's watching.
Oh,
As a new business consultant, you really got to travel a lot. So not centers, because all of our centers are pretty much the same. There's some that are unique depending on volume. But as far as cities, like what was your favorite city to visit or country? I don't know. Did you ever do any of the international stores?
I did the Cayman Islands,
That's right.
and I learned that you need cash when you go to the Caymans, and I learned that you drive on the other side of the road, and not only drive on the other side of the road, but do roundabouts. I could barely do that on the right side of the road. The Caymans were beautiful, but I would have to say, and this is an odd thing, right? Isn't going to be South Dakota. It was just so beautiful. I had never seen bald eagles. Mount Rushmore, I saw it in the winter when it was snowing. It was just so beautiful. So, and maybe that's because, I'm used to the Northeast, and I lived in Texas for 2 years. And of course, I love Florida. That's why I'm back in Florida. But something that was different and that I really loved was South Dakota. It's just a weird
That's
thing.
interesting. That's not what I would have thought, but okay. All right.
California was a close second.
I'll take that. I've never been to the West Coast other than Phoenix. Phoenix is the only place I've been in. It was both of our conventions, which I absolutely loved. And okay, so Phoenix was beautiful, but I still think you had COVID-19 when we were in
I
Phoenix.
did. I think.
I
So supposedly it hit, and I think Bonnie was patient number one. But all kidding aside, is supposedly the first case was the 19th, right? When I
Mhm.
got back, I looked at my calendar because I don't call in sick. Like I'm never like I try to stay healthy. Never really call in sick. I always push through. But this was the first time, and it was on the 27th of January where I did my first video doctor because I couldn't leave the house. I was that exhausted.
I remember.
And on the 28th, I actually called in sick working from home. So I was really sick, and I'm thinking now, looking back, I had all the symptoms, and but who knows? I just never had that sick.
From
It
I,
was really, it was the exhaustion was the worst. I was just physically and completely like couldn't get out of bed exhaustion. So I'm hoping that that's what it was and I'm done with it, but who knows?
so that means that you don't have to be in quarantine, Rachel. Please, you can set up on in my nice little setup on the kitchen table. I'll come to the room. I want to be able to pop out and be like, hey, there's someone else here.
There we go. We'll put it. What we'll do is put tape down the middle of the table, and you stay on your side, and I'll stay on my side.
And technically, if I put the leaf in, we would be 6 feet apart.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. She says you still have to stay home.
The tides have turned, haven't they?
I know, I know. So obviously our connection is through business, but we have a pretty amazing friendship. We surround ourselves with a lot of women, so we have a pretty nice group of women that some are Fast Signs girls, some are just women that we've met, some are old customers of mine that we've just brought in together. And you and I constantly have this conversation of what that looks like, that it's so strange to be able to have 10 women around the table for dinner, 10 women out at the beach, 10 women just getting along, 10 women doing life together and breathing life into each other. And it really kind of started you and I. You and
Yes.
I were really good friends. And then you brought Tina, and then I brought Deborah, and then we brought Barbara, and then we brought Joanne. And it's really, I tell people all the time, I really love my life. Like, I miss my girl time right now. I really, I miss the conversations, but I miss having you guys here. Like,
Yeah.
I miss having a glass of wine. I miss laughing. Like, I think this is the most I've seen you without cracking up, which is, what do I need to do?
I'm trying to be professional here.
I know. But we laugh a lot, and we really have a good time together. And I know that for me has been a huge part. I went through a divorce, and that was a big part of my recovery, I would say, after being married for so long, was just kind of finding like that group of people that just lifted me up and did, I've got a question here, and did, just kind of get to the next level, right? Like Deborah's saying that she misses us. Tina is saying the same thing. I saw Tammy was on there. So, and now you've moved away. How far?
I'm only 2 hours away, so I can definitely make it. But it's interesting because it's really nice to have such a good and diverse in age as well, right? So we're all ages, and then we could share all our stories about our boyfriends or lack of them, and all the struggles that we go through with that. So I think it's not only a support system for our businesses, but it's also a support system for what we all go through individually.
Yeah. So Baxter says, questions for Floridians. If you remove your pool screen in these social distancing orders, can you get more people in your pool area?
Oh, good God. That's to keep people in, not to keep people out.
and Baxter, we're limited to 10 people in one place, right? Is that so? Oh my gosh.
Baxter is uninvited.
His daughter is precious. He can bring his daughter. If he brings his daughter, he can come.
Yeah, he gives me a hard time about the screen on my pool, because I guess in Texas nobody has screens on their pools.
What? That's so dangerous.
Yeah, I don't get it, but
and she's got puppies, so it's not like they need to run around. They don't. Well, my dogs would be all over the pool. Anyways, that's a whole other story. So we went to St. Louis together, and that was a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
And we traveled together. And it was the only time after we've cultivated this friendship that we traveled together. And then we stayed in St. Louis for another day and did sightseeing. It was like, I'm going to say this out loud. I'm sorry if you're from St. Louis. It was like the most dreadful city that everything was brown. It was like brown grass.
What was that egg we went in? The egg thing that took us up and around. It was like a little egg on a big Ferris wheel. What was that? Remember?
Oh, the ark.
Yeah.
That was dreadful because I don't like heights. And it was very high. And they wouldn't let us down because we got up there and they were like, oh, you have to wait to get down. So we were sitting there, and honestly, I felt nauseous. I was like, get me off of this thing.
Yeah, I would not recommend anybody visit St. Louis for anything other than business. Because we also went down that river boat thing on a brown river.
It was a brown river, yeah. And I'm sure that there are times of the year where it must be really pretty there. So I I'm going to suggest that if we ever decide that we want to go back there, that we do that with at a better time of the year.
Or do a road trip from there to somewhere else.
I know, I feel like we need to plan so our convention, where our annual summit was supposed to be Indianapolis, which we now don't know if that will happen, but our annual convention is in Vegas. And I suggest that we travel together for Vegas as well. We did some fun videos traveling. I didn't let you sleep.
So what I'd like to do, because when I was in Sedona, I got to see I tried to see the Grand Canyon. It was it was clouded in, right? But I did the Grand Canyon train, and it was snowing. It was beautiful. But what I'd like to do when we go over to Vegas is I'd like to the Grand Canyon. There's another really good outlook, or whatever it's called, on that side. So when I go to Vegas, I am trying to go to the Grand Canyon again.
Oh, we're going to the Grand Canyon.
Yep.
We'll go one day early. So with that, right? So you go to every convention and because you're staff of Fast Signs, and we go because we see the importance in it. What is it? If there was a franchisee that was watching this video and was trying to make the decision, especially in a time like this, again, I have a feeling Summit won't happen, but if it does, that's great. But would you put the convention back on your business plan as an expense? Would you do it?
Yes, I will, definitely.
Why do you feel like that's the most important, or one of the important things?
I think it's important to number one, share ideas. I think that Catherine Monson, our CEO, is just a unbelievable speaker and motivating. So I think that when you go to convention, you learn so many different things, and it helps you unplug from your everyday in the weeds type thing, and it gives you some ideas to really look at the bigger picture, and away from your center, away from the daily stresses, away from the phone, and you can really see what other people are doing and how other people are growing. And there's a lot of really good content. I think one of the good things about Fast Signs is we're on the leading edge for technology, for our marketing, our sales, and part of that is also the vendor show, which is just tremendous. I mean, we have a lot of really active vendors, and I don't know anybody who hasn't gone through the vendor show and picked up some new ideas or new vendors or new products that they want to offer in their centers. I think that it gives you the bigger picture on like what you can be doing and what you can grow into.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like I said, we've gone to every convention since I've been with Fast Signs. Of course, I was with the chamber for a little bit and didn't go those years, but I look forward to it. I look forward to connecting with people, especially now as an owner. Like, I love connecting with other franchisees. And on the upside of this is I've actually had more time to like get to know them one-on-one through Zoom. We've had some phone conversations, and it's been so supportive. Everybody's been awesome. So I really liked that about this situation. Obviously, if there's anything that you can like about it, is being able to connect with people where we really didn't have the time to do that before. Like right now, our business is very much slow. We talked about it before with it being, so much tourism here. Like, we definitely felt the hit of all of this. And while we have put the plans in place to come out of this on the other side, hopefully with still a smile on our face, there's a lot of downtime. So, I do a lot of visiting with customers. I do a lot of outside sales calls. I do a lot of one-on-ones, a lot of networking. I can't do any of it now. So I've had the opportunity to sit on the phone and talk through some things, and we'll jump on a conference call or a webinar, and then certain people will call afterwards, people that I didn't have a relationship with before, that I just saw them at convention, maybe send an email to every once in a while. But it's really given me the opportunity to get to know them more. And I'm so looking forward to Vegas and being able to hug some of these people and just I know we won't laugh about it, but at least we can smile about it, right?
Yeah. I'm going to make myself a big decal that says, please hug me.
Oh, I think we should. I read a report that said something about social distancing will be in place till 2022, and I thought, oh, I'm such a hugger.
Me
I'm a
too.
hugger. I love people. And the other day I had my mask on and I was at the store and I smiled at someone and they obviously didn't know that I was smiling at them. And I thought, oh my gosh, like a smile changes your day. And now that person doesn't even know that I smiled at them. Like, I'm like, I want this to be over so much. Like,
No.
ugh. So if you can take anything from this whole experience, I know we're nowhere near the end, or I hope we're near the end, but we don't know. It's so much uncertainty. What would you say from a professional standpoint and from a personal standpoint that you've gotten out of this?
Well, number one, I would say that, I'm going to, of course, uh, talk about the brand a little bit, because I think our call to action with our prepared.fastsigns, website is really, we were able as a team to put that together to start giving information out to our franchisees as soon as this began. So, and that's with all the different departments, from our technology department on how we, you can remote in, what to do with printers if you have to shut your businesses, to SBA loans, to the government, what's going on with the government type funding, and, of course, sales and marketing. So I would say our call to action on this was very swift. And I think that you're going to start to see the same thing. All of us as teams are now putting together plans on, okay, now we're bringing back employees. What do we do with those employees? How do we ramp back up? And how do we relaunch, and what are those industries that we should be focusing on to relaunch? So I think the general consensus is we're all hoping the worst is over, but we're trying to follow all the guidelines that our governor in Florida has set down for us. But I think everybody wants to get back to work and is thinking about getting back to work. The good news is, in the state of Florida, I just polled most of my franchisees, and most of them did hold on to their employees. And yeah, I know. And they really want to bring them back. So we're putting together an action plan, both from an operations standpoint. What do you do with that customer service person? What do you do with that designer? What do you do with that production person that you want to bring back? And, how does that look, and what does that look like? And then all the sales and marketing tools or assets that go along with that. So I think the general consensus is we want to get back to business. That we know it's not going to be the same, that we're going to have to retool a lot of our words and the way we speak and the things that we're focused on, and learning about the industries and all the CDC guidelines. But we're collectively as a team trying to put all that together, with the anticipation that our franchisees are going to come back online, and they're going to need all this information and need the additional help. Reality, we're probably looking at a slower ramp up, especially in Florida. We're probably looking at end of May, beginning of June. But, who knows? We don't really know.
Yeah. And personally, when you look at, I mean, obviously you've been quarantined for a long time, and that's okay, because I think that's important, right? So you've been quarantined for a long time. You're getting to talk to people, not just as business owners, because I know that it's not just me. I mean, I know your franchisees. Like, we all feel the same way. Very blessed to have you in our lives as our business consultant and as our friend, and really as a partner in our business, but also a partner in our life. I mean, when I tell people that you breathe life into people, that is not just a nice
You're embarrassing.
no, it is truth. So, from a personal standpoint, has this changed anything for you? Like, have you really thought about anything? And prioritizing differently, because I know you and I are very business focused, right? We do find time for personal play, but I mean, we're on it all the time.
Yeah, and I could say this now, like I've really enjoyed at the beginning the downtime, and I think I was moving way too fast. like everything I was doing was just at just a speed of light. And I think if it taught me anything, is sometimes maybe we do need to slow down,
Yeah.
um, and that we really need to solidify relationships, whether that's with our friends or our family, or being home and doing things around the house that make us happy. So I think if I've learned anything, is I need to take it down a notch. Like,
Yeah.
I need to really start to enjoy my life, although I have a passion for what I do, and I really do enjoy working with FASTSIGNS and all my franchisees. I really need to take the time for myself sometimes. So I think I'm going to try to do more of that, more of working on me a little bit.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I know you that you do that. I mean, you are a pour into yourself kind of person, but a lot of the times you're pouring into yourself professionally. How can let me read this book so that I can be a better field consultant. Let me read this book so I can put processes in place so that I can help people with operations or the things that you're not as strong as, but pouring into ourselves so that there is more balance. I think is a good thing. And I think you're amazing. I, again, am so glad that you met me on here today so that we could chit chat a little bit. You're one of the people that I wanted to showcase, and just, you know how I feel about you.
Well, Carmen, now you've embarrassed me, but you know how I feel about you. You're an excellent owner, and you are an implementer. So, it's from my point of view as a consultant, when you have somebody that really listens and really implements and really works the FASTSIGNS program, which works. It's really, I can't tell you how fulfilling that is. So, and to watch you grow and to see your business grow, it personally makes me happy. So I'm very, very happy for you. And I think that no matter what happens, you will always be successful in your business.
Oh, you're the sweetest. I appreciate you so much. I am, as soon as this is done, we need to do I feel like a first quarter Friendsgiving again. We had such a great Friendsgiving
We
for
did.
November, and I would love for you and the girls to come over. And if there's still social distancing in place, I will figure out a way to get 10 of us around the table somehow. Um, I miss you. I appreciate you. I appreciate the phone calls, the follow up, the push. I know we've all had some rough days, and we've, again, talked about not just the business, but our mental health, and just making sure that we're okay. I appreciate you. I can't say it enough. Everybody knows I love Laura. So
Well, thank you, Carmen. I love you too.
awesome. Well, I'm going to end our call, and I hope that you have a wonderful day. I know that we've got some webinars and some fun stuff to jump on today that will hopefully bring some light to some things that we have questions for, and help you do your job better and help me do my job better.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I look forward to watching some more and learning more about your other friends.
Yeah,
You know,
I'm going to
you
do.
have other friends besides me?
Yes, but you're one of my favorite friends.
All right.
I text my mom yesterday. I said, Mom, Saturday morning, I want to interview you. And she's like, no. My mom has the cutest accent, and she thinks that nobody will understand what she's saying. But people want to meet my mom all the time because my dad is around all the time and people see him. Mom, not so much. She's more shy. So I'm trying to convince her. She actually just jumped on. So Mom's going to be on Saturday morning.
I'm going to watch that.
She's not committed to it yet, but we're gonna get her on Saturday morning so everybody can meet the amazing woman that she's amazing. Okay, let me just say that she's amazing. She's got a beautiful story. She doesn't even think she has a story, but she's got an amazing story. So I'm excited to share her and the rest of my friends and colleagues. And I'm gonna try and get some new customers on these calls and just kind of share a little bit about each other. And thanks to Adrienne, she said, "I don't think so," laughing out loud. She's got another thing coming. So, and I'll get my twin sister on here and some other people. So I'll try and do some fun ones in the afternoon and during the weekend, but I'm going to try and get some customers on and talk about some projects that we've done. And I appreciate you. And I'm so glad that you joined us. And bye, everybody.
Bye.
See you soon so you can meet more of my friends.
All right. Bye-bye.